Hello and welcome to Mindful Living, where we explore the art of living with the intention, balance, and inner peace. I am Avik, your host, guiding you through conversations on health, meditation, mental well being, mindfulness, and the mind body connection. Each episode features expert insights to help you grow, heal, and thrive. So, take a deep breath, relax, and join us on this journey to a more mindful and fulfilling life. So, let's get started.
Hello and welcome, listeners, to the Mindful Living podcast. I'm your host, Sana, and today we have an exciting and transformative episode for you. We are joined by Craig Brockie, an entrepreneur, best selling author of Ultimate Health Break Free from Your Health Issues and Live Your Best Life, and a passionate advocate for revolutionizing health and wellness. Craig has spent the last 3 decades traveling the world researching cutting edge health technologies and finding natural solutions for chronic wellness and optimal performance. Craig's journey began after losing his own health as a young man, sparking a lifelong mission to help others overcome their health challenges and live their best lives. And today on the Mindful Living, we'll dive deep into the power of probiotics, peptides, and alternative medicine, exploring how these advanced approaches can transform your health and wellness journey. And if you have been curious about unlocking your body's potential for chronic wellness and optimal performance, this conversation is for you. So let's get started. Craig, welcome to the show, and it's an absolute honor to have you with us today.
Hey, son, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
So, to start, could you share a bit about your personal health journey and what led you to explore alternative medicine and advanced health technologies?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm 50 years old now and I feel great. I've got lots of energy. A lot of people feel like I look younger for my
Yes.
age,
Yeah.
but that wasn't always the case. 30 years ago, my health was an absolute disaster. In fact,
Mhm.
for years, I'd wake up in bed in the morning and my
Mhm.
chest would feel tight. I'd feel sick to my stomach with an overwhelming feeling of anxiety. And I just wanted to fall back asleep to escape how awful I was feeling. But I couldn't because my mind was already racing. So I'd finally get up to bed and out of bed and go to the bathroom. And when I looked into the mirror, I'd wondered what happened to me. I didn't recognize myself. I was disgusted with how I looked. My gut was hanging out, my shoulders and arms were weak, and my
Mhm.
face was bloated and sad. And I could barely look at myself in the eyes, dominated by feelings of guilt, shame, regret for all the
Mhm.
bad choices I'd made and continue to make. On top of that, I was living with chronic pain. My immune system was shot, and I was
Mhm.
getting sick all the time. And then I realized I had to change.
Mhm.
I knew I should be exercising, but I was lazy. I know I should be eating healthy food, but I binged on junk food instead. And when I looked for solutions, I found that most programs seem to be geared towards athletes, bodybuilders, or obese
Yeah.
individuals. There wasn't really a solution for middle-aged men or young adults like you
Mhm.
and me. And then something cool happened, and it worked. I went from waking up with debilitating anxiety, not wanting to get out of bed, to waking up eager to get to work, from
Mhm.
hating how my body looked to being happy with the progress I was making. I went from feeling ashamed and guilty to being proud of who I am and wanting to get as many people feeling the same way as possible and help them. And now I know what a healthy diet is for me. I mean, I still fall off the wagon now and then, but it's
Mhm.
easy to get back and keep moving forward. And I found a good way to hit the gym 2 to 3 times per week and play fun sports with friends. And maybe just people are just being polite, but they tell me I look a lot younger than my 50-year-old age. My name is Craig Brockie, and I believe everyone listening can easily reshape how you look and feel in the next 30 days. In fact, middle aged people, I believe, can look and feel 10 years younger within 90 days.
Yeah. Yes. Wow, that's really, really a very empowering and transformative journey, Craig, and congratulations for that.
Thanks.
Okay, so probiotics have become a popular topic in recent years, but their true potential, they goes far beyond gut health. That's what we have been, getting through all the resources available. So, can you explain how probiotics play a role in chronic wellness and overall health?
Yeah, that's a great question and good point because a lot of people know that gut health is a hot topic these days, and they've heard of probiotics and they've heard of prebiotics and they've heard of antibiotics, of
Yep.
course. They've heard of those for many decades. In fact, I believe antibiotics are one of the biggest problems that we have in society today, not just the antibiotics that we take ourselves when we get sick, but the livestock and animals that we're eating
Mhm.
often have antibiotics in them, and we get those antibiotics. And those things just kill your good gut bacteria. A lot of people might not know that we're covered with bacteria, and bacteria isn't all bad. In fact, there's a lot of good bacteria. So having good bacteria in your gut and your small intestines and large intestine is
Mhm.
very, very important. So, and the other thing is, it's not just about your immune system. A lot of people, I mean, doctors have recognized that your immune system is really based in your gut, but also your emotional health and how you're feeling is also impacted by your gut. Even the American Psychological Association, if you go to their website,
Mhm.
you can see that even they acknowledge that 95% of your body's serotonin, and serotonin is the neurotransmitter that's associated with feelings of happiness and sadness in its absence. They recognize that there's 95% is produced and stored in your gut. So when your gut's not functioning properly, it can
Mhm.
cause not just problems with digesting and absorbing nutrients, but
Mhm.
it can also impact your mood and all kinds of things. So gut health is super important. And I think a lot of people listening right now, they may have some symptoms of gut problems. They might have indigestion, they might have gas, bloating,
Mhm.
they might have acid reflux or heartburn. And any of these things maybe might not seem serious, but they are early warning signals for worse conditions that can come. So the best idea is just to put some effort and attention into healing your gut and detoxifying your body. And when you do those things, it's amazing how good you can feel and how much more energy you have and how much more enthusiasm, how anxiety and depression can lessen, and you can feel more energetic, happy, enthusiastic. And that's something I wish for all your listeners to feel.
Lovely, lovely. And peptides are another fascinating area of health optimization that many may not be familiar with. So, could you also break down what peptides are and how they can be leveraged to improve physical performance and healing?
Yeah, I'd love to. Before I leave the topic of probiotics, I
Uh-huh.
just wanted to let the listeners know there's a great book out right now by a New York Times bestselling author named Dr. William Davis. He wrote a very famous book series called Wheat Belly, where he advocated avoiding wheat products because they were causing people issues.
Oh,
he,
okay.
he followed he followed that book up with another book called Super Gut. And in
Mhm.
Super Gut, he explains how to make your own probiotics at home. Now you can take just one capsule of probiotics
Uh-huh.
and actually culture it into probiotic yogurt that has trillions, not just billions, but trillions of live cultures. And then not only that, but when you go to make another batch of yogurt, you can just use a spoonful of that probiotic yogurt to make another batch and continue on that way. So it
Wow.
makes probiotics a lot more affordable. And it also is a lot stronger because the count of bacteria, or the probiotic count, is much, much higher. And that's what led me to creating the ultimate probiotic yogurt maker, which is a number one bestseller on Amazon,
Oh,
helping people make their own probiotics at home. I just want to mention that because that's something that's super cool. And I think everyone would appreciate trying that out. But
lovely.
coming back to peptides, peptides is another passion of mine. Over the last year and a half, I've done a deep dive into peptides. In fact, if someone goes to craigbrockie.com/free, that's CRAIG, B as in Bravo, ROCKIE.com/free, they can download a free peptide cheat sheet where I cover the top 30 peptides, how to use them, and what results you can expect from them. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really cool. Um, Peptides are actually amino acid chains. They're kind of like very small proteins, and they're made of amino acids, and amino acids are the building blocks of proteins, and they can actually be synthesized. Now, your body produces over 70,000 peptides naturally, and what science has discovered is that by emulating or duplicating some of these natural peptides that your body naturally
Mm-hmm.
produces, you can actually create synthetic versions of these peptides, much like hormone replacement therapy for estrogen or testosterone. They can make bioidentical, basically, peptides that your body accepts as natural. And some of the ones that are popular are based around diabetes. In fact, insulin is
Mm-hmm.
the very first mass produced peptide, and insulin being a hormone that helps with glucose metabolism.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been out over 100 years now. And more recently, you may have heard of Ozempic or Wegovy. The generic name is semaglutide, and there are other peptides that are for weight loss and diabetes, but those have been hugely successful in the United States and all around the world. There have been side effects, and there are risks to using those. So I actually created the ultimate Ozempic handbook where I share the top 7 secrets of how to be successful with semaglutide and get long-term benefits from it and actually keep the weight off long-term. And that's at craigbrockie.com/free also. But peptides can be used for all kinds of things. I'm very fair-skinned. I grew up in Canada actually,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm quite fair-skinned. I used to get sunburned quite often.
Mm-hmm.
So there's actually a peptide called melanotan, and there's 2 types of it: melanotan number one, melanotan two. And I actually use these peptides. Of those two, I actually prefer melanotan one. And what they do is they actually increase your own body's production of melanin. And melanin is the substance that your body uses to regulate how it responds to UV light.
Yes.
And by using melanotan, I was able to make my skin much more able to tolerate sun. So now I actually don't have to wear sunscreen. I can go out in the sun without worrying about burning. And that's just one example of a peptide. There's other ones that can boost your human growth hormone. There's others that can help with libido. And it's just quite fascinating. And that's why I put them into this free guide that people can get where I cover the top 30 peptides.
Hmm. That's very interesting.
It really is. I believe this is the future of medicine, and they're so profoundly powerful. In fact, they're so powerful, and big pharma cannot
Mm-hmm.
patent many of these,
Mm-hmm.
that they're actually attacking these quite aggressively here in the United States, and they've shut down compound pharmacies from
Mm-hmm.
actually producing and selling some of these peptides. I believe not because of the risk involved with them, but because they actually challenge drugs, which they can patent and they can sell for a much, much higher profit margin.
That's true. So, how accessible are these peptides? How we can. So, you have resources on your website, definitely. But how can these be accessible? Are there
Sure.
any? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the United States, I'll speak to that first. And around the world, you can get brand name weight loss peptides in the form of Ozempic or Wegovy.
Mm-hmm.
There are other ones that are brand name that are slightly different, but
Mm-hmm.
those are quite expensive. And if you don't have health insurance, it's ridiculously expensive. They commonly charge over $1,000 a month for
Wow.
these, yeah, semaglutide.
Mm-hmm.
But out of a compound pharmacy in the United States, you can get that for perhaps under $300. And if you buy it online, sometimes you can get that as little as, let's see, the same dose for about $21, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah. It's that's how much big pharma marks up this stuff. And granted, they did do a lot of research and development to get these things to market, but their cost for producing this is so small relative to what they charge people in health insurance companies. It's just ridiculous. I can buy semaglutide online for under $7 a milligram, and so a 3 milligram vial is very common. And yeah, that's like Ozempic. You can pay over $1,000 for that same 3 milligram vial that I can get for $21. And that's why I think people should download my free Ozempic handbook at craigbrockie.com/free to learn all about how to avoid symptoms and side effects. There are side effects, but if you understand what they are and how to avoid them or reduce them, then the whole experience can be a lot more positive.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
really good. So, many people struggling with chronic health issues, they feel overwhelmed by conventional medicine's limitations, as you rightly pointed out in the beginning of the conversation. So, what role do alternative medicine and holistic approaches play in addressing the root causes of these conditions?
That's a good point. In fact, growing up, I was totally bought into conventional medicine. I thought my doctor had my best interests at heart. In fact, I think that most doctors are well intentioned. I think the problem is that big pharma, they make their money through selling expensive drugs, and then also the medical industry and the health insurance industry make so much money through surgeries and drugs. That's just what it's just, unfortunately, it's business and it's profits before people. That's the unfortunate truth.
Yeah.
So when you go into alternative approaches, your doctor is more likely, or even a nutritionist is more likely to be looking at, okay, what is your body got too much of? Like, what toxicities does your body have too much of? For instance, you might be living in a moldy environment and not be aware of it. You might have been exposed to too much lead or mercury or plastics. Plastics are a huge problem these days. Everything's wrapped in plastic. There's so many plastics around, and those can actually disrupt your hormone system. So, what a nutritionist or a holistic doctor or a naturopathic doctor, what they'll be looking for is doing blood tests, saliva tests, stool tests, and looking for what are you what do you have in your body that shouldn't be there, and is your body missing? And this comes back to gut health again. If your gut is not functioning properly and you're not eating the right nutrients, then there's no way that your body is going to get those nutrients. Even if you're actually eating the right things, if your gut is in bad shape, you don't absorb those nutrients and you can be deficient. So it's quite common in fact, today I just had an ozone treatment, a blood ozone treatment at my local clinic, and I had a vitamin IV today, and I had something called glutathione. Glutathione is they call it the master antioxidant in the body.
Yeah.
And so I did IVs today with those three things. I used to have a lot of mold in my house and I got overexposed to mold. So now I'm helping remove those things. Sauna and sweating is really good. Exercise is obviously really good. But hopefully that gives your listeners some ideas.
Lovely. So, as someone who has spent decades researching health technologies, Craig, what are some of the most promising advancements in the field of chronic wellness and performance enhancement that you have come across?
Yeah, well, ozone is very, very powerful. Ozone is basically oxygen with an extra oxygen. Ozone is oxygen with a third oxygen atom attached. So it's not O2. The air we breathe is O2, but it's actually O3.
Yeah.
And that extra oxygen atom is very reactive. Something that's similar to that is hydrogen peroxide, which is a liquid. And that's a lot of people have heard of water as being H2O2. Oh, sorry, H2O rather. And what hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. So it's an extra oxygen atom on the molecule. And whenever you have these extra oxygen atoms, what they do is they're very reactive,
Mm.
and they can kill parasites, they can kill bacteria, viruses, and not only that, but they can also superoxygenate your blood and your body. So another thing is exercising with oxygen that can be very effective.
Mhm.
Hyperbaric oxygen, where they actually pressurize your body and you breathe pure oxygen.
Mhm.
Those are great uh, treatments. You can actually read about those in chapter 2 of my book, Ultimate Health. In fact,
Mhm.
I give away the first chapter of my book for free at craigbrockie.com/free if anyone wants to get a free taste of my book. But I believe peptides are super powerful. Another issue these days is testosterone. Testosterone levels have been completely destroyed,
Mhm.
at least here in the United States and probably worldwide. But there's so many things that are disrupting testosterone, and men these days have, it doesn't even matter if they're old or young, are
Mhm.
having extremely low testosterone levels,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
those are terrible, and it can lead to anxiety, lower libido, inability to gain muscle. Obesity is linked to that as well. So there's just so many things. But there's a very advanced, coming back to oxygen, there's an advanced treatment called EBO.
Mhm.
It's spelled EBOO, EBO. And
Mhm.
that is the most advanced ozone therapy that I've ever done. I used to have to go down to Mexico to actually get those treatments because no one in the United States wanted to do them because it's not FDA approved. But now it's become more common. In fact, here in Clearwater, Florida, where I live,
Mhm.
there's several locations that actually have EBOO machines where you can get your blood super oxygenated, unlike any other technology where almost your whole blood supply gets ozonated in one hour session. It's
Mhm.
completely amazing what it does. And all your blood passes through a filter as well. So not only is your blood getting ozonated and supercharged with oxygen, but it's also being filtered. So that's a really cool one. Another treatment that's very effective is called chelation, and that's where
Mhm.
you're stripping out heavy metals and toxins from your body and getting your toxicity levels lower.
Wow. These are completely new. I mean, I haven't had heard about these concepts, but these are something, very, very new and very, I think, very revolutionary. Maybe someday it will be there in the mainstream, but thank you so much for sharing.
Absolutely. I truly want your listeners to be happy and healthy. I'm on a mission to help as many people as possible look and feel better. And that's so easy these days. If you just do your own research and
Exactly.
realize that there are conflicts of interest out there. There are people that want you to be buying expensive medications or getting expensive
Right.
surgeries or
Right.
suffering. There's unfortunately people that want you to suffer and be in pain and discomfort. But I'm not one of those people. I want everybody to look and feel great.
Mm.
And it's so easy to do these days if with the right information. It doesn't even have to be expensive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Superb. So, coming to another aspect, apart from the alternative medicines, mindfulness is essential part of healing and optimal living. How do mindfulness integrates or the practices integrate with your approach to health, and how can they support individuals in their wellness journey?
Okay. Well, just on a personal basis,
Mhm.
Um, I discovered this book, and it's actually not just me, it's been millions of others. In fact, this is the number one best selling self help book of all time. It's the number one best selling book on mental health, and it's called
Mhm.
Dianetics. Dianetics, the modern science of mental health. And if
Yep.
you go to dianetics.org, you can watch a little video that explains what it's all about and how it works. And what it does is it gets to the root cause of these subconscious problems that we have in life, like these feelings of doubt, shame, regret,
Mhm.
um, any kind of past traumas. All these things are stored in what the author L. Ron Hubbard called the reactive mind.
Mhm.
And if you understand how the reactive mind works and how to deconstruct it, there's actually a free therapy that two people can learn to do if they review the book Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard. They can read it and they can actually do it at home. Like a husband and wife can help each other. And what you do is you're actually pretty much erasing all these traumatic experiences you've had in your past so that they no longer affect you, so that you can actually move forward in your life and not have these past traumas affecting you in the present. So that really helps with not only depression, but it can help with anxiety, and it just gives people more positive outlook in life and ability to be more of themselves, more happy, more energetic, more enthusiastic, more productive. And I really highly recommend it. I've been doing that for over 12 years now and have had so many positive experiences with it. People of any religion can experience it. There's not any kind of requirement to change your belief system. So it's for everybody and it's free to use. It's at Dianetics.org. That's DIANETICS.org. So you can go there, you can learn about it, and I highly recommend experiencing that.
Great. It's really great. And with the rise of biohacking and self-experimentation in health, what advice would you give to someone who wants to safely explore probiotics, peptides, or other alternative treatments for optimizing performance? Of course.
Sure.
You.
Okay. Well, even though I wrote a book, my book has got 10 chapters all about how to restore your own health yourself without outside help. I highly advocate getting expert guidance and getting blood tests. And if you have the financial means to get blood tests, I highly recommend doing so and working with a professional. But if you're on a limited budget, the things that I explain in my book are very safe and very effective. So just picking up a copy of my book will give you a really good example of what you can do to detoxify your body and get the right nutrition into your body. Once you detoxify your body and you heal your gut, you're going to be feeling so much better. And then if you get the right nutrition in there, then your body can heal itself. But even something as simple as fasting is very, very effective. A lot of people practice what's called intermittent fasting, where they spend maybe 16 to 18 hours a day not eating, and then they only eat during a small window of time during the day, giving your body a lot of chance to repair itself during those times of fasting. Not only is that really effective for weight loss, but a lot of people find that their body heals itself doing that. And then people who do extended fasts of 72 hours or even longer start to have really, really profound healing transformations.
Exactly.
So, that's free. In fact, it's almost better than free because you're saving money on the food that you would be eating on those days, and you're not eating on. So if you're doing a 72-hour fast, you're saving yourself 3 days of food, and if you're doing a 7-day fast, you're saving a whole week's worth of food. So that can be extremely effective. And then as long as you're drinking pure water, and at home I use what's called reverse osmosis, and that's just a special filtration system that strips out all the chemicals and residual crap that can be in the water supply. I highly recommend reverse osmosis water. Those filters are a little bit expensive. They might be $300 here in the United States. I'm not sure what they would be in India or other countries, but highly, highly worth it.
Yes, they are. They are. And when it comes to intermittent fasting, I can definitely say that, you feel lighter, you feel refreshed, you feel that energy regained, to work or maybe do your favorite things. So it's really, really a very effective method. And it's of course, it's very economic.
That's awesome. Good for you. A lot of people may not have the self-discipline to do it, or they might not think that they have the self-discipline. And that's where something like Ozempic or semaglutide can really help, because it suppresses your appetite so much that it makes intermittent fasting very, very easy to comply with. So In my free ebook where I go over the handbook, like the ultimate Ozempic handbook is what it's called at craigbrockie.com/free. I
Mm-hmm.
explain there are some things people can do before jumping into Ozempic or semaglutide, and some of those things is using high level probiotics, cleaning up their gut health. What people need to know is that the peptide that controls your hunger is actually produced in your gut. So when your gut is functioning properly, you can actually have a normal appetite, and that makes staying in shape and not getting overweight and actually losing weight a lot easier.
Great, great. So,
Yeah.
Craig, thank you so much for such an informative and lovely discussion. This is really something revolutionary, but very accessible. And thank you for spreading the awareness and making it accessible for people all around the world. So, your dedication to helping others achieve ultimate health and wellness, it's truly inspiring. So, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to urge people to take some action.
Hmm.
You're not going to change your conditions in life unless you change something. If you keep doing what you're doing now and you have some sort of symptom that's been bothering you for weeks or months or years, maybe you have headaches, or maybe you have chronic pain, maybe your libido has dropped, or maybe anxiety, depression are your main concerns. If you don't address those things, they're just going to continue as they are or potentially get worse. So it's important to take action. So I've given people a lot of different free resources. That they go to
Yeah.
craigbrockie.com/free. They can learn several techniques they can use to improve their condition, including free things like intermittent fasting and extended fasting.
Lovely, lovely. We'll mention all the details in the show notes for all of you listeners. And if you want to learn more about Craig's work, be sure to check out the link craigbrockie.com/free. You can get loads of free resources from there. You can get the first chapter of his Ultimate Health book. You can get the Ozempic handbook, the Ultimate Peptide cheat sheet, and guide to so many of resources. And it can be really, really help you get the right information at the right time. So, if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to the Mindful Living podcast for more enlightening conversations like this on health, wellness, and mindful living. And until next time, take mindful steps toward living your healthiest, happiest life. This is your host Sana signing off.
Thank you.